There's 7 o'clock. Hello, everyone. All right. Hello. All right. So I'll get started with like the library news and info before we get started. And of course, you are all here tonight for our Her Story, which is also a small business spotlight Her Story. And we are here to see Michelle Polzine, cookbook author, cafe owner, ex-cafe owner, small business entrepreneur. So we're going to have a chat with Michelle in just a moment after the library announcements. And this is part of our Her Story campaign, which we do, of course, we do campaigns all the year long. And we just did more than a month, which is our Black History, going into Her Story, which has allowed me to meet so many amazing women on both campaigns, and it just has not ended. And I'm so happy to add Michelle tonight. And San Francisco Public Library would like to acknowledge that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. They are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula, and we want to recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. And I will also throw in the chat box some links to a reading list about First Persons, as well as some great Ohlone websites in the Bay Area, including Segurite Land Trust, which is a great women-led organization in the East Bay fighting for land rights. They have a really great thing called the Shumi tax, in which they calculate how much tax you pay a year and sort of a land back, pay your tax on where you live. And it's really quite reasonable. If we all did it, it would be amazing. And I actually am joining you tonight from Portland, which is Multnomah County, Multnomah County, but also Cathlamet, Clackamas, and Chinook, as well as many other Clackamas. I got that one. Clackamas, Cathlamet, and Multnomah. So acknowledge where you're at, learn about it, and learn about some land rights going on in our area. We have at the library a campaign called On the Same Page, where we encourage you all to read the same book at the same time. It's bi-monthly, and we are celebrating, as part of Women's History and National Poetry Month, the amazing Natalie Diaz, who will be in conversation with Michelle Cruz Gonzalez. You can pick this book up at any library location right now. You'll walk in, you'll find it. And then we'll have a book club, but we'll also have an author event. So stick around for that. And then just a few other amazing events, including April is, of course, Climate Action and Earth Day. We have none other than the most amazing San Francisco icons, Annie Sprinkle and Beth Stevens, talking about eco-sex and eco-sensuality, and of course, climate crisis, and how do we get through that? And one way is pleasure. And the amazing Emily St. John Mandel, author of Stations 11 and the amazing HBO option for it, will be in conversation with San Francisco and Aline Newitz. And this is happening in partnership with San Mateo County Library System. And she has a new book coming out, Sea of Tranquility. I'm gonna throw all of this in the chat in one handy link. All right, that was a lot. So yay, we're here with Michelle Polzine, chef and owner of the now closed 20th Century Café and one of San Francisco's best pastry chef. Polzine began cooking in North Carolina in 1992 and got her big break in 1995 at Chapel Hill's Pyewacket.
Yep.
Pyewacket restaurant. Polzine made the restaurant's famous dinner rolls, and a pastry career was born. She has since worked at some of San Francisco's best restaurants, from Delfina to Chez Panisse to The Range. She has been covered in Bon Appétit, Food and Wine, the New York Times, among others publications, and has been nominated as Outstanding Pastry Chef by the James Beard Foundation. And she lives in San Francisco with her husband and her cats, which we've already seen, one cat who eats cakes. And she recently has been in the news again for raising $17,000 for Ukraine victims. All right. So one last thing we're going to do is enjoy this amazing Hooked on a Book by Michelle. Here we go.
Over and over the same old thing. Yeah. Not another pie book. Hell, that isn't my book. Here's what I've got to say. Strudel, knishes, and everything delicious. If it's hard to say it, you can find it here. Lekvar, Linzer, Kiffle, Kuchen. That's what lies between the pages, dear. Fruit, fruit, did somebody say fruit? That's here too, you can find a lot. Huckleberry, cherry and strawberry, lemons, plums, and a little kumquat. From Linzer Torte to honey cake, that is what you've got to make. Buy your copy, don't delay, it's great for any holiday. From baking at the 20th century, baking at the 20th century cafe.
Buy your copy today.
So good, so good. Trust me, fruit. Did anybody say fruit? Has been in my head for the last week. So good, so good. All right, so welcome, Michelle, and welcome, library community. I'm so happy you are here with us tonight. And the first thing I want to do is just welcome you. And you want any opening words, Michelle?
Oh,
throwing you right in.
Oh my God, opening. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am so excited that I was asked to be part of this library talk.
Yay. And then I'm going to throw in the link for tonight's chat since I didn't do any of those chats. There's a bunch of chat already. Hi, everyone. Welcome. All right. Hello. Oh, Chef Ava, welcome. All right. So I figured we would, since there's so many friends here tonight, I'll ask a few questions and we'll do a little chatting, but then we'll turn it over to questions from our audience, who I'm sure has many, and you're just beloved in San Francisco. I consider you one of the San Francisco, famous San Francisco people, along with like Annie Sprinkle, for instance, those kind of people.
Whoa!
You're well known, okay? In certain circles, like only in the San Francisco circles, right?
Yeah.
No sound. Oh, can you still hear us?
No.
Can everyone hear us out there?
Am I muted?
Just one of us. Okay, we're good. Hopefully you can turn us up, the person who can't hear us. Okay, good. Okay, I'll continue. So that being said, did you get any like famous San Francisco people in the cafe? Who are they?
Well, I did. And some people, it was funny because people would come, and I don't know a lot about like modern pop culture very much, but there are some people that just kind of had that kind of like vibe, like you just knew that they were special. And the kind of the person that comes to mind is like Wayne Wang and his wife came in like a lot. They kind of split their time between here and New York, and they were like, his wife was like, "You're just like our little Sabarsky," and I was like, "Oh, who are these people? I don't know, but they're awesome." And then I saw him, like a picture of him on someone's post, and I was like, "Oh." And then one time, who was my most famous person? It's like I'm nervous, so I'm like, my brain is, from Blood Simple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The lady or the?
And from Fargo, the famous one. My brain.
Frances McDormand?
Yeah, Frances McDormand.
Wow, cool.
She came in, but I was like, when she came to the counter, because I knew who she was, and I hardly know who anyone is. And she came to the counter, and like I was so scared, I looked at her and I like turned and ran away. And then it was so bad. And she never came back again because I was so weird. But
we love weird.
What can you do? Well, so it's like lucky that I don't know who anyone really is, because then they don't get like the because that's pretty much what I did. I was like, she looked at me and I looked at her and I went, I ran. It's like, oh man. I was like in the basement, and when my friend Claire was like, Frances McDormand is upstairs. Oh my God. And so I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do?
What did she order?
She was actually, it was super cool. I guess she'd been in a couple times and maybe I didn't know about it because I was in the dungeon. People are like, I came in and you weren't there. Honey, I was there. I was just underneath you. But she was in the corner, and that like there's like the front table in the corner in the window, and she like had her New York Times, and she was like, it was so cool. Like all these like people would come in and hang out with her for a while and leave. She was like holding court. She'd get up and order things, and then she'd order more things. And like she ordered some bagels to go, and normally like put them in a bag, but so I like put them in a cake box, and she walked by and she looked at them and she went like that, and I was like, oh. But then I did the dumb thing, so whatever, what can you do?
Fantastic. That's fantastic. I used to meet some of my favorite humans there that are semi-San Francisco famous, which is Carol Queen, who is and Robert Lawrence, amazing humans in San Francisco, beloved as well. They used to own, they were founders of the Center for Sex and Culture, sex educators, and just amazing, lovely humans and weirdos. And they too would hold court and run their business straight out of your business.
Yeah, I think I got thanked in Queen Carol's last book. I was like, yes, that's like my dream. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I have one more famous person story. So a lot of people would come from SF Jazz, and one time Robbie Coltrane came in. Oh, wow. And I know, and I got introduced to him, and he had my hand in his, and he looked in my eyes and he said, "You have a beautiful place here." I was like, thank you.
That's pretty stunning. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So tell us, I mean, this is kind of a segue, but, tell us about the cafe and what it was like running that. And, how did you decide to become an entrepreneur? Did you always want to be your own cafe owner? And what were the pitfalls? And tell us all.
This cat is biting me right now. What a jerk.
Talk about it.
Well, I've been a pastry chef for a long time. I kind of started I started as a dishwasher, and then I became a line cook, and then I started baking, and that was like what I really loved. And as a baker, you're like always, it's basically like someone else's show, and you're like the last note kind of. And so I always figured that was where I would be, and I imagine maybe someday I would like open a restaurant with someone, but mostly people are like don't want to. Or I probably that now they would, but like at that point, like they didn't want to like share the cut, you know what I mean? Like the chef cut, basically. So like a lot of people I know that are pastry chefs, they open places like with their spouses. So, but mine's a librarian, so.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Now you have to be honorary in the family, the library family, for sure. No wonder you were worried that I was emailing you for your overdue books. You're like, why are these librarians?
I know. I was like, oh, did they do that? Crap. So I went to a trip. My brother-in-law was had kind of a fancy job at Apple, and for my 40th birthday, which was a long time ago, he said, I'll take you wherever you want, anywhere. And I actually had that, the Rick Rogers book, the Coffee House book, because I learned how to bake a lot from books. I didn't go to pastry school or anything. I learned from books. And so I had that book, and it was a really cool book. And I was like, oh, I want to go to those cities. The book's about Vienna, Budapest, and Prague. So I was like, I want to go there. And he's like, okay, fine, done. So in 2011, we went, and it was like, like you hear like the song when Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is opening, and they like go through all the tunnel, all the crazy stuff, and they open the door, and Gene Wilder starts singing, "There is no life I know," and that was like me in Prague. I was like spinning around, and it was like all the cakes, and like it was so amazing. And I was like, oh, this is a cake restaurant. I need a cake restaurant, because it's like, it's like people are like, oh, your little bakery or whatever. It's like, no, it was a restaurant. It was a cake restaurant. And we also had savory food, but that was mostly just so if people wouldn't like totally get cracked out on sugar. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm going to do this cake restaurant when I came back. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then I started looking for a space and thinking about it. And then I found a space, and then I went back and like took like a million pictures and figured out how I wanted to design it. And on not $1 million, tried to make, a place that was super beautiful and evoked that period and that time and place. And I was sort of like, well, this is like a super cheap plane. This is like a cheap trip to Budapest. You just like walk in the door and you get like, you're here.
It's lovely. It was lovely.
Thank you.
And friends, you can place questions in the Q&A or the chat. We're monitoring both, and we'll kind of play it as it goes along or wait to the end. But if you have questions now, we can throw them in. Okay, so now for the questions that I haven't asked. How many times did you have to make the honey cake before it was a perfect honey cake?
I mean, I don't even know. By the time I figured out, I had made many, many, many tries. And once I had like figured out what I was supposed to do, like I understood, then it took me like 23 tries to get to like basically almost where we are now. But before that, it took me, I was just like, I couldn't even conceptualize it. Like tried all these different things with like sour cream and tried like, it was, I just like, tried to balance the sweetness with some things. I did some recipes where you like roll out the dough. I tried all these different things. And it wasn't until like, I realized like that, like I needed more butter. I needed to caramelize the honey. And then the dulce de leche was just like lucky because I saw that I was like trying to, because I couldn't find any recipes anywhere. Like, so, even though there's like a million recipes of honey cake online now, there was one recipe out there, and that was a Smitten Kitchen one. And if you looked at that, it's like totally different from mine. There's like, it has very little in common. But so I had to kind of make it up from nothing. But I did see in this video for this like Armenian miracle cake, which was a cake that they were making in Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. I saw them opening this can of brown goo, and I knew what the brown goo was, and that was the dulce de leche. So that was like how I got that answer, was just from like observing some videos anyway. But yeah, but then it took like 23 tries once I like figured out like the path. But they weren't like the 23, they weren't like total like garbage cake punching failures.
I was telling Michelle that my son likes to cook, but he's definitely just learning. And there was a cake punching incident.
Yeah. There was no cake punching at that point. Like I knew it was all like with each time it was like I understood something more. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was like it was like not like a fuck. It was, a bad word. It was like each one was enlightening in some way.
How about, so you talked about your aesthetic of the cafe. Oh, wait, I'm going to ask a question that somebody's already asking in the chat, which was, are you going to be teaching any more classes on the honey cake?
Yes.
One of these days.
Yeah, I think probably soon. I'm going to hopefully do some like ones here in my kitchen at my house and some movies of them.
I love that idea. You got to pivot to the revolution of Zoom classes.
I know. It's such a funny thing for such a low tech person like me.
It's so silly, but it is so easy at the same time. We love having chefs on because, people love chefs. People love to be fed and love to hear about how you got there. So tell us about, now I'm going to go back to the aesthetics of your place, but of you as well. You are like vintage classic. Where did that come from? And how did you learn to meld those two things, your aesthetic of your cafe along with your vintage aesthetics?
Well, I think it all starts with like, a couple things. Like watching old movies when I was young, but also Exene Cervenka.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because she always wore like the rayon dresses and the Bakelite and everything. And I was like really into punk rock, and she was just like, and you shop at the thrift store. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it was like her fault. How it all started. And like, I love vintage clothing. It's so beautiful. And so I've been kind of, I guess, I wouldn't say I don't have stuff. Well, I have one thing from when I was like 16, but like, so I've been buying vintage clothing since I was 14. And that's, except for sometimes I like wear Dickies in a t-shirt or something vintage. That's it. That's like, I don't have any other clothes. It's either like Dickies and t-shirts or like my sleeves.
Wonderful. I'd love to be in your closet for just a few seconds there. How many closets do you have?
There's actually a room in my house that's a closet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know.
The hat, is it a hat room too?
There's hats in there. Yeah. I actually just replaced all my hat boxes because they were totally disintegrating. And I found some online that was like millinery quality hat boxes. So I finally, the ones that have been like duct taped together for all these years went away, and I got new ones, but I took pictures of them because some of them still had cool like logos and stuff that were decipherable. And then the question is how would the aesthetic go to the cafe? Well, that was sort of like, that was easy. That was just sort of like consistent. That was the cool thing about like this. I mean, I guess it was like, I couldn't really do like, Art Nouveau because that's too expensive, but I kind of did like Art Deco. I cheated a little bit. And so I just like wore my own clothes in the cafe, because I sort of realized I was like, oh, I mean, now I do stuff more than just work, but there was like a point I was like, oh, I'm only ever going to work, so I might as well start wearing my clothes here, because otherwise they're just going to get eaten by moths. By the time I get a chance to wear them, I'll be like 300 years old before I can like put on a real dress again. So I just started wearing them at work. And then the aesthetic of the cafe was, it was pretty easy, just like, marble mohair. Like there's a cafe I love in Vienna that had like the marmoleum floor. I mean, they called it linoleum then, but it's like, it's been an architectural, it's like appropriate for an early 1900s building.
Yeah.
And it's also like eco-friendly. So that was really cool. I did that, and I found the tile in like the scrapyard, fire clay tile, and just all the stuff. Like, I just got really lucky with kind of putting it all together. And then the music, my librarian husband did music because he's a big music nerd. We had like over 4,000 songs on the playlist.
Awesome. Is that on Spotify?
No.
That would be wonderful. Oh, that'd be so fun to do. Just like I don't know what, like a 20th Century Cafe night somewhere. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I had like all these crazy fantasies with the book. It was like, we'll do like a playlist with it and paper dolls, and I want to do all this stuff.
Oh, that'd be so fun too.
I know. Nobody wanted to spend that kind of money. It's a lot of money, I think.
Maybe you need to do your own paper doll book separate from the cafe book.
Well, because I wanted to have, I thought I was going to get to have Dame Darcy. I don't know, to do the illustrations.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
let's find her in the chat. I'll put that in the chat. Oh, so that would have been so good.
I know.
And so I'm just going to read some stuff in the chat. Isabel has already said, I think twice now, it was a magical place. Isabel loved it. I'm sorry. It was the best, she says too. And then some agreeing it's the best, truly missed, magical. Okay, but now let's go back to people love your Wedgwood stove and then your china that they're sitting there. You want to tell us about that and tell us what you're drinking. Let's give some shout outs to your dishes and your drink.
Okay, so this is not china. This is like something I made.
Pretty.
And it's my hobby. I have a hobby now because I don't have a restaurant, so I have time for hobbies. So I took a little ceramics class. I'm looking for a new studio right now because the one I've been going to is closing. Oh. But anyway, I make little bowls. And then this is, I got this from the flea market in Raleigh, this glass. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like pretty nice pattern. And inside it is, dun, 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 dun. thanks to Dolly Krasinski, brought this from Eureka, California. This is it's got Dick Taylor chocolate in it, and it's really good. It's like cherry and chocolate. Like it's like Black Forest.
Yum.
Adult soda pop.
Delicious.
It's so good. That's my favorite chocolate. I love their chocolate. So good.
Do you have any, so what's on the plans for next? Do you have another cafe in mind? You're going to go that route with the restaurant again?
No. Oh, that one tried to kill me. I love that restaurant, but it did try to kill me. Bless its heart.
Yeah. So this is, I'm going to remind folks, this is a small business spotlight, and our library has a small business center where you can go get all kinds of advice and help and resources from our small business center and the small business librarian, who is amazing. And I'm going to go throw this in the chat really quick too. It meets the needs of entrepreneurs by providing materials on how to plan, finance, organize, operate, and market a small business. And I'm sorry that your business tried to kill you.
Well, it's partly my fault because, I mean, it's mostly my fault. I had an idea it was more like, it wasn't really like a business. It was more like a play or like a musical. And like I wanted everything to be like just so, which is really kind of hard or impossible to do. And but I did it for a long time. And I don't like I'm just like a bad capitalist. Like it made me so happy to just be able to make these cakes for no money. I can't even tell you. Like this like fundraiser. I would get like, I was so excited. Like I didn't care. It was funny. I told my mom about it. I was like, someone bid $1,000 on the honey cake. And my mom was like, well, too bad you couldn't get that money. I was like, I couldn't take $1,000 for a cake.
Oh, moms.
It's like,
that's awesome though. There's nothing wrong.
I'm happy to see it get its due. Kind of.
There's nothing wrong with being a bad capitalist. All right. You know, we love you for that. Thanks. Let me see. I would just want to check the chat. One person went there before getting their marriage license and said it was just amazing. So special. More cookbooks. You could write another cookbook. But what was your favorite part about being a small business owner?
I mean, I think the best part was being able to create something like completely, like a thing that you could come inside. And I mean, I believe all of the senses were engaged, like all of them, because there was the music and the feeling of the tactile thing, like having real china, like antique china and silver, the taste of the food. I thought it was really pretty. Is that all of them? That's like all the senses. And then your sixth sense.
Yeah. That's you in the dungeon, right? So the kitchen was in the underground?
Well, it was up and down.
Oh.
It was just people were like, how do you stay so skinny? Do this all the time. Oh my God. Yeah.
Let me see. Friends, if you have questions, you can flow those. 2 words, crunch dough, life-changing.
I know. It's the same for me. Everyone tells you pie dough, like, oh, it has to be cold, frozen, blah, blah, blah. Like I've spent my whole pastry life, like taking cold blocks of butter out of the freezer and grating them, or like doing them in the food processor, like the least way to touch them is, then this one you do soft butter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And it makes my favorite dough.
We have Chef Ava, who is one of my favorite chefs from South San Francisco. She ran her own blog. She's known as the Autistic Chef. She's an amazing human. And she just wants to say bravo on your video. Loved it. Loved your book. And she wants to know if you're doing any recipe development.
Yeah.
Got anything new brewing?
I mean, yeah, but I just kind of screw around. Yeah, because, okay, I have to admit this terrible thing about myself. Like I can't eat gluten anymore.
Uh-oh.
I mean, so I was experimenting with this gluten-free chocolate cake. And this is and in fact, Roscoe the cat that you have seen earlier did this to the cake. My back was turned. for nary a minute. He did this. And I don't even think cats are supposed to eat chocolate.
I think that's like a bravo on the gluten-free chocolate cake.
Yeah, I think it has like a little too much, like I need to get a little too much oat flour. I think I need to do the corn flour up a little more, drop the oat flour down. But yeah.
That could be a new cookbook. You know, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a cookbook in me, but I don't know if anyone someone has to want me to do another cookbook.
Yeah, what was it like writing a cookbook? You know, I talked to many authors, but not like the process of writing a cookbook. Never heard this story.
So I really I enjoyed the process of writing a cookbook. I know most restaurant cookbooks just hire someone to write it for them. I hired an overqualified recipe tester, Jessica Badalana, who has written many cookbooks. I think she wrote like Charles Spann's first cookbook. Like she's written a lot of unaccredited things. She did Charles Spann's first cookbook. I know she wrote books with Chad Robertson. And she tested the recipes in my book, which I thought was like very generous because that's like kind of beneath her skill set. But it's also because the recipes were pretty challenging. I think she like had fun with it. But I liked the writing part, it was fun. But I was actually thinking today, I was remembering about like, you know, you write it, you feel really good. You spend all this time trying to make everything like awesome. And then the copy edited manuscript comes back. And you've already been through like a bunch of edits. So you kind of think you're like, all right, things are in good shape. And then the copy edited manuscript comes back and the copy editor is like, I love everything about this. And there are 3 words that don't have red lines through them. You're just like, oh, what? I don't know what.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that part. It was like, I mean, I'm glad I know about that now because I'd be ready for it. And that's fine. But it was like a little bit, it was a little traumatizing at the time.
Yeah.
And my ego was like, what? But I did like the process of writing the book and like kind of bringing the recipes to life. I did not like the process of trying to like, so normally you get like first pages back and they're physical. But what happened is that all happened during like lockdown when everyone was like afraid to touch anything.
Yeah.
So instead of getting like physical pages that we could like go through and edit and you actually see the mistakes, it all happened on computer.
Ooh, mm-hmm.
And so it was really hard to see everything. So because normally you get like 5 passes or something of a book, like it comes back to you, like make changes, you think you catch everything and they find other things and send it back to you. But that one was just really, really challenging. And then things happened in design where like whole lines moved or like things were dropped off the page that were like important. And you're like, do I have to like reread every recipe again? So it's next time I do a book, I like want to make sure I'm not like doing a restaurant at the same time, because there's like a lot of things that take time that you don't think about, that you think you're done. You hand in the manuscript. It's like, no, it's just the awesome creative part's done.
For now. I mean, even after the edit comes back, you still got to be creative on that. That's
yeah. Well, there was I learned something about myself too. It's like if, like I kept trying to please the editor in a way. And then I learned at one point to be like, what is it that like to ask myself, like, what is she wanting out of this? And then to just start from the beginning. Because once you start like futzing with like little words here and little words there, you kind of loses all of its like power. It's better to like understand what they're really asking for and then start from that place and start over. And it's not like it's a novel, right? It's like a little like head note. Yeah. So it's not that hard to start from boo. Once you can kind of like eat a little crow and just go for it.
Yeah. It's hard to have an editor, but it's also like the most amazing too, because they really get you down to your essence.
Yeah.
Or they just cut you. You.
Yeah.
Let's see. Elizabeth says, I remember reading about your flour allergy in an article. Is this different from a gluten sensitivity? Does that make sense to you?
Well, it's wheat.
Wheat. Yes. Wheat is the gluten sensitivity, right?
Well, wheat is my problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds then for sure like a new cookbook. Absolutely. So we'll have to find someone to publish that. David asked, have you read Robin Sloan's Sourdough? It has kind of a fun take on Chez Panisse.
No.
No, okay. We'll put that in the chat and I'll put a link to it.
Okay.
How much was your budget for perfecting your recipes when you were starting out? As it just seems fantastically expensive to purchase so much butter, cream, and sugar. Ballpark estimate of your budget for that.
Oh my God, I don't know. I just like kept doing it. I mean, the thing is, it's like when you're doing stuff at home and you're recipe testing, you try to, I always think of it as like, when you're really trying to like perfect something, I like don't make the whole thing. Like you kind of like do parts of it. So like, you like maybe have one part perfect and you're just working on another part. You kind of basically want to distill it down to like 1 egg. So you make the size batch that's like 1 egg, like, cause you can't really go any smaller. And that kind of, that's how you can save yourself. Like I made this like big chocolate cake and it was like 3 eggs. So guess what size batch I'm going to make for my next tester when I change the flour? 1 egg. Because the other ingredients, if you like convert it, especially if you convert it to metric, it's super easy to divide it.
Oh.
And I actually have divided an egg before. Like I've like weighed it out. I think an egg is like an extra large egg. So I think it's like 35 grams. I want to say, but
and then you split the yolk or you whip it?
Just beat it. Yeah. If you're using a whole egg, it doesn't really work if you're trying to separate an egg, although you can do egg whites and then you could do half a yolk, but that would be really silly.
That would be really
I'm not that crazy.
That'd be really hard.
Yeah. That would like make it not worth the cost of the egg.
Yes. 2 hours to separate your egg. Let's see. Somebody loves your sense of humor. How about, did you grow up in San Francisco? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California.
Uh-oh.
I know. But I got to live in Santa Cruz for 5th and 6th grade. And then and also 8th and 9th grade. And that's like, I think when I think I was born weird, but that's when I got to realize that there were other weird people in the world.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that's what, drives a lot of people to San Francisco.
I know.
Gotta love the San Francisco weirdos for sure. Yeah. Let's see, more questions and more comments. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Do you have any advice about the process of hiring and keeping employees?
Oh my God, I was so bad at that. So the advice that they tell you that you should listen to, that I did not listen to, so that what they say, and I believe that this is true, is slow to hire, quick to fire. Now, I did exactly the opposite. If somebody walked in the door, it didn't matter like if they were like inexperienced, crazy, whatever, I would be like, hooray! And I'd be like, we're gonna find a job for you. And then I would like make up some crazy job for them. And then if like it started to not work out, I would like not fire them because I would be like, it's gonna work, it's gonna work, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. And then it was like, sometimes it was like ended up terrible at the end. But so slow to hire, quick to fire. That's my advice. I guess like for retaining employees, I don't know. I mean, my idea was like to try to keep things interesting and challenging. But I think like that can be hard too, because sometimes like what I think is challenging is like too challenging for people.
Yes. Yes.
Oopsie.
But you wouldn't fire him, so.
But I would never fire him.
Huh.
Oh, bless my heart.
I know, for sure. Okay, one more small business, and we'll let up on the small business.
Okay.
If you could travel to a day, if you could time travel to a day to one of your this is really flubbery question. If you could time travel to one of your startup, to the day you started, and you could tell your formal self about lessons you learned to spare yourself mistakes, mental anguish, and heartache, what would you tell yourself?
I would say, girl, you got to hire someone to do the marketing here.
Oh, marketing. I like this answer.
Do you know what I did on my first day?
Tell us.
We were ready to open. So I ran up, turned the sign to open, took a picture of it, put it on Twitter, and ran behind the counter and hid.
Yes. Marketing and creatives, they just don't meld as well as they should.
Yeah. I know.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So you hear that, friends who are out there starting their business or starting their, you really just cannot deny it, marketing. And you said it, like, what if you did pay for someone for it, you know? I mean, it is a,
that would have been
easy. Yeah, it's
It
not
would've been
easy.
really smart.
Yeah. I mean, we actually, you know, at the library, we have people that do that. There's people, I mean, you know, I do a little bit of
Yeah, and
marketing.
they love it. It's
Yes.
not, and it's hard for us because it makes you feel like, you know, such a jerk. Like, hey, I'm so awesome. Come into my awesome restaurant. Whoa, look at me. I'm a super chef. Yeah. You know, I just you need someone to do that for you because you can't do that.
You could if you were a certain kind of person, but you're just not that kind of person. It's hard. It's a hard, you know, they don't teach you that in chef school or wherever you, art school or music
I
school.
didn't even go to chef school. I barely finished high school.
They didn't teach you that in high school.
They don't teach you that in the School of Hard Knocks. That's where I went.
That's awesome. All right, friends, do we have any more questions for our chef tonight? And what's on the horizon? You have anything interesting going down?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, I think I'm going to frost this cake later tonight. And I think I was just going to fill in that part that Roscoe ate with, so it'll be an extra thick part of frosting. And
we'll all be over soon.
Okay, good.
No, you won't. 7 of us.
And I'm gonna try, and I guess I've been sort of promising myself I was gonna do some online cooking classes.
Yes.
So I think this is April's my month, because I'm taking it. My ceramic studio closed, so now I can stop being such a hobby girl and actually get to work.
I think people want it. They want it. So what frosting flavor will you put on that cake?
I think chicory.
Ooh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do special orders, commissions?
I mean, I'll do special cakes for special people.
That's what you're doing.
Really, I don't like it. I don't like quibbling about money. Yeah. But I also kind of need, I'm to the point in my life where it's I decided I'm going to pay myself as much as my plumber's assistant.
Exactly. What? How about as much as your plumber?
No, that's too much. I can't. He's 72.
He's had a good life. He's had a good run.
He deserves it. But my plumber's assistant, I deserve that much.
I like to also, I am one of those people who like to put a value on myself. I'm I don't really make this much, but I am worth $79 an hour. I don't.
Yeah, my plumber makes more than that.
What about a plumber assistant?
Makes less than that, but he makes a lot. I was shocked. I was whoa, okay.
If my son does not stop punching cakes, we'll aim for the plumber's assistant job. So yes, please teach online classes. That's coming from the crowd. And then there's a couple who want to know the exact name of the chocolate beverage, so we can all go out and buy one.
It is Humboldt Cider Company Chocolate Cherry. Apple cider blended with tart cherries and Dick Taylor chocolate.
Chocolate cherry.
I don't know where they sell the cider, but they do sell Dick Taylor chocolate at Rainbow Grocery. Whenever I go and get supplies for a honey cake, I always grab a bar for myself.
Awesome. And we love Rainbow. I
want Rainbow to carry my book. I don't know if anyone
should carry your book.
I know. If anyone has
asked them
at Rainbow, I have asked them. Only heard crickets.
Oh, maybe I'll call them and be like, hey, do you have the 20th century? We can all call them. All 100 of us. Do you have Michelle's book?
Yes.
Okay, last question for our guest tonight. Someone says say hi to Roscoe, cake eater.
Yeah.
Favorite restaurants and cake restaurants to visit in our Bay Area. You can add some pie in there too.
Okay. Favorite restaurants. Nari. I love it. I just had a meal there. It was so good. That's not a cake restaurant though. I went to Nari and I went to Statebird Provisions the other night. It was really good. And I don't go out very much. I mostly cook at home, and then I have very indulgent meals like at Zuni. I got to tell, they made my dinner at Zuni the other night too. Nice. Gilbert bought my dinner.
I'm writing these down as we go, friends. So I'll put these in the chat after we are done. And Zuni and Statebird Provision
Progress
is where you just did all of the cake baking for the fundraiser for the Ukraine, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. It's nice to have chef friends, huh?
Yeah, especially when you get way too many cake orders and you're like, what am I gonna do? I don't know.
Wow, the generosity on that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, they were so good. Nicole's like, you can come here. She's like, just get stuff from us because it's cost half of what it costs me to go buy it at Rainbow.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't have to lug it around on my bike.
Elizabeth loves you. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I really like the chocolate mousse coconut passion fruit cake with the coconut Haupia Center at Good Culture Club. You know Good Culture Club? I don't know.
No Good Culture Club.
I don't know that one either. We'll add it. I'll
Okay.
look it up. And final question is, how are you going to make that chicory flavored frosting?
I think I'll probably. Well, I was actually looking at. I had the Dobosh torte out, and I was looking at. I like that chocolate buttercream a lot, and I was gonna kind of put less chocolate in it, and then like melt some chicory, just like with some water, and melt the chicory down.
Gotcha.
Add that into it, and then I was kind of thinking, like once I get the cake exactly the way I wanted, I was gonna do that, and then I was gonna make toffee, and then put the toffee in the buttercream, so you have like a sort of like a chicory toffee crunch chocolate cake.
Yum. Okay, that sounds good.
I like toffee and crunchy.
Yum. I like a little crunch in the cake.
I like a little crunch in the cake.
All right. And thanks for supporting the Ukraine. There's that in the chat. And I'm going to breeze through the chat one quick time. Make sure I didn't miss anybody's love. Okay. Checking the question. All right. I think someone just said his message. Kind of like New Orleans coffee is what chicory is. I was going to ask what exactly is chicory? It's like coffee.
Oh, yeah. It's so they, in the South, they use chicory to extend coffee because coffee expensive and chicory is not.
Gotcha.
But it tastes like it's super delicious and like acidic. And you actually have to be careful, like when you're making chicory ice cream. There's a chicory ice cream recipe in the book, but you have to be careful because it's an acidic ingredient and it can curdle the milk if you cook it. If you bring it to high temperature, you make like cheese.
Yum. I mean, not that, but
cheese, yummy.
The frosting sounds yummy. I like about cake frosting thickness.
Yeah, me too. That's why the honey cake's so good because it's equal.
Yes. All right, friends. Michelle, thank you so much. And you do have a spot at the San Francisco Public Library anytime. I know friends would love to see you making some cake and teaching us how to do it. But look for Michelle. I'm going to put it in the chat one more time. Here is tonight's document, and this has all of the library news as well as links to Michelle and where you can get her book. Go buy the book, or you can check it out from the library, or you can instantly check it out right now on Hoopla Digital with your library card. And we're going to be like awaiting a new cookbook or classes or whatever you do next in our fine city, because we miss you and we love what you've done, and we will all get the book.
Yay.
All right. Fruit. Did somebody say fruit?
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Library community, thank you for
everyone.
joining
Thank
us. Bye.
Yes.
Bye. I'm going to end it.